Hello everybody and welcome back to Soul Stained Ink. My name is Beth and today I want to talk to you about a mysterious island. So the mysterious island in question today belongs to one Dr. Jean Libris in the book The Island of Dr. Libris by Chris Gravenstein. Now in this book we follow Billy Guilfoyle, who has gone to Lake Katrine to spend the summer with his mother as she works on her dissertation to finally get her doctorate's degree. Something in her dissertation has to do with parallel universes. She is a mathematics professor and she has rented the cabin of Dr. Libris from Dr. Libris, who is a professor at her college, for the remainder of the summer, and that's where Billy is going to be as his father stays in New York and works. His father is an ad executive, and his parents have separated. So he and his mother are in the cabin, but mom's not going to do much good over the summer. She's just working on her dissertation. So Billy is trying to find something to occupy himself, and he realizes that while there are security cameras everywhere and a satellite dish out back of the cabin, there are no televisions in the cabin. So he goes to find some books. He starts reading the books and he realizes something odd is going on that has to do with the island in the middle of Lake Katrine, which is also owned by Dr. Libras. In this book, along with Billy and his parents, we meet Walter and Alyssa. Walter is Alyssa's big brother. Walter is about the same age as Billy, is kind of one of those skinny nerd guys that don't read but plays a game called Bibliomagica, which is kind of like the magic game that we might play. It's a card game, has the different things you can pass out. He also loves to watch the classic geek movies like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and he's a skinny little asthmatic. Billy and Walter become friends pretty quickly, and they set out to explore the island in the middle of the lake together. Having already been out there and met a couple of odd characters, Billy is interested to see what will happen once Walter gets there, and Walter's appearance does not disappoint Billy in the least. And then we have Alyssa, Walter's little sister, who is sassy and fun and just your typical little 5-year-old sister, 5 or 6-year-old. And she also goes out to the island on an occasion and causes a big twist to happen. Of course, what book would be complete without some sort of villain? So we have one of our own, and his name is, I don't know, Nick Farkas. His name is Nick Farkas. And Nick has 2 little minions that run around with him. And the 3 of them just basically think they are cooler than everybody else and threaten Billy and Walter. And there are a couple of run ins with Nick and his gang that kind of spice things up a little bit as well. And of course, we also have the characters on the island. I'm not going to tell you too much about them. I want you to discover them for yourself. But they're a lot of fun, and they kind of reanimate and reimagine some classic stories. We also have Dr. Jean Libres, and we get to know him mostly because at the beginning of the book and every few chapters, we have a little lab note that comes up, and it's titled The Theta Project. And then it'll say lab note number 316 prepared by Dr. Jean Libris. And then it's just a quick report. And there are several of those throughout the book. It kind of separates it into different sections. And we find out a little bit more about what Dr. Libris is really up to and why Billy's mother was able to rent the cabin for such a cheap price for the entire summer. So here are a few things that I love about this book. Number 1, it is another biblioliphic dream from Chris Gravenstein. He is apparently the king of middle grade books about books. This one has the characters of books coming to life for the people who are reading. And it is helping the young boy who is interacting with them, or the young boys who are interacting with them, in many interesting ways. They're learning more about the characters, about the world, and about themselves. And I love that. I also love that Chris Gravenstein does not shy away from discussing things like mom and dad are fighting about money. It's there from, the very first chapter. Billy is in the convertible and he's thinking about how mom said the convertible was another of dad's toys and dad spends too much money on those. So you can tell right away that there's an issue there and that it worries Billy, and he doesn't try to gloss over it or act like Billy doesn't know about it or any of those things that some authors might do. I'm also a big fan of the fact that this is placed at the lake, and it talks about how Walter has asthma and he can't breathe without his inhaler. So we've got this image of this little skinny nerdy kid with his inhaler. And Billy lives in New York City, so he doesn't know how to row a boat and all of these things. It talks about how they're having to figure it out and they're learning to kind of not rely on the television or on his iPhone and things of that nature, and that they're actually learning to rely on themselves. And I loved it. Now, a couple of things I didn't really like. I didn't like Nick Farkas and his two goons. Not that they weren't well written, because they were pretty well written, but I just didn't like the fact that he was there in the capacity that he was there in. I would have liked either a bigger scene with him, or maybe the scene that we did have with him could have involved Billy's mother. I also didn't like that we had so few characters that actually were on the island. There's a good lot of them, don't get me wrong. I was just hoping for maybe a little bit more, or maybe a second book, and there hasn't been a second book of this. I don't know if there's going to be or not. And it didn't really resolve at the end of the book. It ended kind of satisfactorily, but it didn't resolve as well as I was hoping that it would. All that being said, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think it is well done. It's a very quick read. I listened to the first half on audiobook and read the second half in the physical form, and I cannot choose which format I like better. I really enjoyed them both. I think they are equal. That being said, the audiobook, the narrator gave different voices to the characters, so when I was finishing up in physical format, I could kind of hear those voices. And there's one character who says curses and foul language instead of yelling an obscenity. And so now I've got that voice in my head, and it's hilarious and makes me giggle at inopportune moments. But whichever way you enjoy reading a book, I think that it will be just as good no matter what you choose. And I hope that you do pick it up. If you have read it, or if you are going to read it because of my review, please let me know. Leave me a comment down below. If you have a review for this book that you've done on a blog or your own channel, please link it up down below so we can see your thoughts about the book. Please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you like the video. Click subscribe if you're new. I'll see you later. Bye.